Good evening, everybody. I am honored to have with us tonight two of my favorite people who happen to be living across the Atlantic Ocean as part of the Northumbria Community, and they live on Holy Island in Lindisfarne. And several of you have had the honor of getting to meet them either there or over here when they were here this last summer to do the week experience with Mark and Mary Fleeson. So Andy and Anna Raine are here with us tonight, and they are going to be leading us in the Boisol Compline, which is the compline they use for Friday evenings. And just to give you an idea of where they are living, you can see that on this eastern part of the United Kingdom, and as we zoom in, you'll see that they are north of Bamborough. And there is this little tidal island called Holy Island or Lindisfarne that is just off the east coast of northeastern England. So if I zoom in anymore, we'll be at the Raine household, but I don't think we can do that. But let's get back to this. And tonight, this is a wonderfully worded compline that comes out of Celtic Daily Prayer, book 1, that I know many of you have been exposed to and many of you have it. And there is also a companion volume, volume 2. And if you don't have this in your prayer resource books, I would encourage you because they are just wonderful, wonderful meditations and prayers that are there. So with that, I'm going to invite Andy and Anna to lead us in our compline service tonight.
The Boisol Compline. O Lord, you will keep us safe and protect us forever. I am placing my soul and my body in thy safe keeping this night, O God. In thy safe keeping, O Jesus Christ. In thy safe keeping, O Spirit of perfect truth. The three who would defend my cause, be keeping me this night from harm.
I call on you, O God, for you will answer me. Give ear to me and hear my prayer.
Show the wonder of your great love, you who save by your right hand those who take refuge in you from their foes.
Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings.
Lighten my darkness, Lord. Let the light of your presence dispel the shadows of night.
Lighten my darkness, Lord. Let the light of your presence dispel the shadows of night.
Christ with me sleeping, Christ with me waking, Christ with me watching each day and each night.
Save us, Lord, while we are awake. Guard us while we are asleep, that awake we may watch with Christ, and asleep may rest in his peace.
God with me protecting, the Lord with me directing, the Spirit with me strengthening, forever and forevermore.
God with me protecting, the Lord Lord with me, directing. Spirit with me, strengthening forever and forevermore. God with me, protecting. The Lord with me, direct. Spirit with me, strengthening forever and forevermore. God with me, protecting. Ooh, Lord with me, directing. Ooh, Spirit with me, strengthening forever and forevermore. Forever and forevermore.
In the name of the Father precious, and of the Spirit of healing balm, in the name of the Lord Jesus, I lay me down to rest. The peace of all peace be mine this night. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
The peace, oh, peace, be mine this night, be mine this night. The peace of all peace, be mine this night, be mine this night. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy peace, all be mine this night, be mine this night. The peace of all be mine this night, be mine this night. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Wow. I have been blessed to be able to pray some of these Compline services with Andy and Anna when we've been on pilgrimage over in Lindisfarne. And I must say, just hearing you guys pray and sing just takes me back there. It's just been such an incredible holy place for so many of us from St. Joseph. So thank you for doing that. I can remember when Dee and I did the Cuthbert's Way walk from Melrose to Lindisfarne, and there were Andy and Anna there as sort of our welcoming group when we finished, and we had a chance to get together and commemorate that time. But just special memories. So we have opportunity just to talk a little bit about Northumbria Community, how you guys are dealing with the whole Corona quarantine, how your children, Martha and Joel, are doing. So tell us a bit, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Well, so the mother house is closed down at Nether Springs. Made the decision to do that. And we've got, I think, 3 people actually on the premises who are living there and keeping the rhythm of prayer going.
Mm-hmm.
And Catherine, who's one of the leaders, the main leader, you know, Catherine Askew,
Mm-hmm.
she's gone down with the virus, and so has her husband, Pete. So they've been really poorly with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so have various other people that we know. But it's been really difficult, and knowing how horrible they were finding it, it's a nasty thing.
Mm.
But there's, you know, we've pulled them through to the point where they're sort of, it's like they've had the stuffing knocked out of them, but they're beginning to pick up and be okay, you know.
Is it possible?
It's a lot of weeks.
Yeah, it's about 4 weeks now since they went down with it, and they're over the symptoms, but they're really fatigued, particularly Catherine. So really having to take things.
Yeah, they both got it separately. You know, he brought it home, but she already brought it home from Nether Springs. So so he's a couple of days ahead of her.
Right. So I know some of the folks who are going to be watching this don't know about Northumbria Community and don't know about Nether Springs. So in a quick nutshell, could you just sort of summarize Northumbria Community, your involvement there, and perhaps what Nether Springs is all about?
Well, I've been one of the founders of the community. There was me and one other couple a lot of years ago, right back end of the 70s onwards. And then eventually we managed to get a mother house where we held the community together for years and years, and then eventually had to give that place up. And this is now our second main mother house.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a dispersed new monastic community, which sounds very grand, but it actually means that we live as community alone together. People are in their own homes usually, or there might occasionally be people who are sharing life in common, but mostly we're a dispersed community, and we're held together by the vows that we say yes to. We say yes to availability and vulnerability, and also we have a common rhythm of prayer, which we dip in and out of according to our circumstances. And yeah, we can't always say that the same people are always going to be there living by the same values and living that same life, but we can say that there'll always be somebody there, whoever it might be. And it's been our life, and our kids have never known anything but there being community, I suppose. They take it for granted amongst our core relationships, which are some of them community and some of them not.
Yeah. I love that availability and vulnerability. And 2 people who I'm looking at right now who live those out in my experience of them in terms of being available to even do this with us, and the vulnerability of really, we didn't rehearse this too much, of just seeing what would happen. But it bespeaks what you guys are about, and I thank you for that. Tell us about Martha and Joel a little bit, because I know our folks back here who know them are curious how they're doing.
Yeah, Martha's been working as a medical receptionist up in Coldstream, which is just a few miles over the Scottish border. So which is about 40 minutes drive from Holy Island. So she's living with friends of ours, Ronnie and Gail, who are in their 60s. So she's loved her job, and then, you know, suddenly everything changed, and, you know, we're talking about self-isolation and all of these strange words, lockdown and quarantine and shielding and guarding, and so because of Ronnie and Gail have got some underlying medical problems, Martha felt that she needed to stay off work, because otherwise she was kind of potentially exposing them to, you know, to getting virus. She could pick it up at work. So so they've been good. They've given her two weeks dependent leave, but yeah. So we're not quite sure what's going to happen at the end of this week for her. We'll see what happens. But she's the last few days I've had a whole raft of photos from her. Her and Ronnie. He goes out at 4:45 in the morning, and he's going out, and, you know, there's this beautiful mist over the countryside in Norham. There's the River Tweed there, and so they go, you know, doing photography in the fields around about where they live, and you know,
deer.
Yeah, they're photographing deer and just wild cattle and beautiful. You know, he's got like a really good eye for wildlife and what have you. So Martha's learning some new photography skills, and but still haven't quite got used to the idea of being up at 4:45 in the morning. But yeah. So she's doing some songs. So she put a song on tonight on Facebook, and she's doing a lot of baking. She's trying to keep herself busy. And then we discovered that we had, as you guys had as well, the whole PPE shortage, and my
personal protection equipment.
Yeah, so our friend Carol, her daughter is an intensive care unit nurse, so she's working on the front line with, you know, COVID-19 patients, and they were running out of gowns and things like that, and so there's been various groups kind of popping up all over who've been doing sewing and what have you. So Martha's been involved a little bit with that. So yeah. So, but the downside of the lockdown for her is that she's not seen a boyfriend for 6 weeks. He's living in Durham with his family, his sister and mum and dad, and his mum is very sick now with cancer. She's, it's not looking good. It's kind of spread to her brain. So there's all those
dynamics for her.
Dynamics and tensions, and
Sure.
so that's quite hard for her.
And Joel had been working here on the island. He'd been working at the post office, and then when they stopped visitors coming, they didn't need him anymore. So that was okay. But he was in a new relationship, and his girlfriend needed to move house, and he'd gone down and helped her move house, which was fine. And then the lockdown suddenly happened, and decided that he would do the gallant thing and isolate himself with her instead of with us. I can't imagine why that was a better choice for him, but it was certainly a better choice for us, so that's worked out very well.
Oh, we miss it. He's a huge miss, because you know, he's the house just feels really empty. It's if really empty with him. So we've not seen him for about 4 weeks now.
Mhm.
So we did a kind of a drop off of bags of clothes and bags of food and things for him and Ashley, and we're due to do another trip down fairly
Mhm.
soon. So yeah, he's basically in while she's working, looking after the dog, which is a rescue dog, and would otherwise destroy the house, I think. Already torn the blind down and what have you. So.
Yeah. So Lindisfarne, for those that have not been there, is a small tidal island, and the population, when the tide is down, swells with the tourists and the pilgrims. But since you don't have any pilgrims or tourists right now, how many people are on the island?
There'll be about we're normally 160, so we might be just slightly shy of that at the moment.
Wow.
Some of the people who would spend a lot of time here in their second homes, there's some of them here, but some of them jump the other direction. Yeah.
So you were telling me before we started recording that people go out at 8 o'clock to cheer for the healthcare workers?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went running out at about 1 minute to 8 o'clock. So I don't know what's happening in the other parts of the island, but
They're not.
Oh, they're not.
I saw Jimmy on his doorstep. That was all done.
Oh, but certainly in Fiddler's Green, you know, up towards where St Mary's Church is. Yeah. So we had Sarah Hills, the new vicar. She's been here about a year, I think. And we had the URC vicar, Rachel. She was out as well. And just various neighbours round here. So I just took the frying pan out and just making some noise, really, just in appreciation for.
Just hitting the frying pan. Nobody with it. Just the frying pan itself.
Yeah. Nobody with
well,
it.
Traditionally, you're supposed to hit your husband with the frying pan, aren't you? But
well, we used to do that on New Year's Eve at midnight to make noise when we didn't have firecrackers in that, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that the numbers that we saw down the street at 8 o'clock about an hour ago, there was probably maybe about 12 or 50, maybe about 12, no more than 12, and that is the most people that we've seen on the island.
In one place. And it's spread.
In one place for over a month, and you guys who come over here will know that, you know, that only ever happens, well, it doesn't even happen when the tide's closed, really, does it? We still have, during the summer, so many folk on the island. So this is just, I think people are beginning to kind of creep out of their little holes, their little houses. So, you know, some of the older, some of the more elderly people on the island have been sticking very, very rigidly to the rules, so they haven't even been coming out of their houses, although we've been told that you can go for a walk once a day. I mean, we feel like children. You're only allowed to go out for a walk once a day. So, but I think I noticed today we're in a row here with 5 cottages, and we've got a retired fisherman on one side, Ralph, and Mary, a retired teacher, and on the other side we've got Mary, and at the end we've got Magda, who's a Dutch lady. And so we've had the most beautiful weather, and what's lovely is just seeing the way that people are beginning to relate to each other in the terrace. I mean, people are normally very friendly, are normally quite friendly here anyway, and I think we're very, very blessed, really. Yeah, we all get on very well with each other. But it's still this awkward thing of, you know, the Barry. You have come across Barry Cochrane, haven't you? The fruit and veg guy.
Oh yeah.
Come with the van, yeah.
So the tide wasn't good on Tuesday, so he couldn't come on Tuesday. He came today, and he had his gloves on, and he's got a bandana to pull up over his face, and I was just asking him, you know, how the lockdown was affecting him, and he said the biggest thing is I'm missing going to the pub, you know, and just meeting up with all my mates and having a bit of a drink. And but a couple of days ago, he got to the end of his round, because he drives around in his van selling his fruit and veg, and the last call just said to him, "Oh, is this your last call? There's a vodka for you." And it was like almost like a pint glass of vodka, you know, kind of on the bench for him. Or he said by the time he got home, he could hardly walk. But it was just lovely. He said that it was beginning to feel somewhat normal. You know, when people start beginning to relax into it, and it's really difficult to do that, relaxing into it, then you can see people just their spirits beginning to bounce back a bit, which I think is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think, because you guys live on a tidal island, so when the tide comes in, you really are quarantined.
Yeah.
I would use a more positive word for it than quarantine, but I would think because of the rhythm of life that you have just by nature of living on Holy Island, that maybe you would be more adept with an ability to cope with this stuff than most cultures are. Or am I wrong?
I just think that part of us is just geared to the tide all the time, but that continues. But I don't think we're used to having this degree of isolation from our neighbours, but we know that everybody's still there and that everybody still cares, and that you can shout on other people and they'll do anything they can to help you.
Yeah.
That bit remains the same. We're better equipped to deal with it as a small community where everybody knows each other than somewhere else. But you go to the car parks and there's big signs up saying "Stay away."
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think you know, it's kind of the fear factor, I think, you know. So even though we are used to you know, sometimes on an evening, if we were to go out for a walk, we might not see anybody on any, you know, even in the summer, sometimes you might not see anybody round about on a, you know. But I think it's that deep anxiety and feeling of unquiet, you know, or disquiet that makes people kind of just it's just the lack of normality of it. I mean, normally I would nip in next door to Mary and we'd have a cuppa, or she'd come knocking on the back door and she'd come in and have a coffee. So, but we're beginning to relax in it. So she's actually now, for the last 3 weeks, she's not really even been out of the house, not even to come along the back and knock on the back door. But in those days she has, and I'll open the back door and she'll stand back. And the neighbour on this side, you know, Mary, had been down and cut some rhubarb, and there was a little tap at the back door, and I went out and I nearly tripped over the rhubarb. I wasn't looking down at but you know, Mary had walked down, and I think it's that thing where a crisis kind of brings people together, and I kind of feel that it deepens relationships, I think. Yeah, and I think there is a genuine concern and care for people. You begin to see neighbours, you know, like for example Raf and Mary. Suddenly you begin to realise that actually they come into the vulnerable, you know, category, and they can't go out and do their own shopping, whereas normally we're just seeing them walking around and you know, and just having a bit of banter and chat. So I think it starts stirring deeper kind of feelings of I don't know, compassion or relational. Help me out. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just do it differently. I was thinking the other day in terms of when Jesus was on the cross, he couldn't touch anybody. You know, it wasn't social distancing. They were a bit preoccupied with, you know, being tortured and things. But he still managed to reach out with his heart to the guy next to him. And there was a heart-to-heart connection, just because for some reason you're not able to necessarily touch people the way you would, doesn't mean you can't have a heart connection. A
Powerful.
lot can be accomplished.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Powerful image. One of the things we've been trying to do with our folks, because we're doing these kinds of video prayer services every day, is to perhaps introduce, but maybe make more of a habit for our folks, a rhythm of prayer like you guys have, being a part of the community. I think it's been very helpful for our folks to just get exposed to the office, even in the Episcopal version of it. We've done some things from New Zealand, but the ones that you have in these particular resources are just powerful. The way that you all have phrased the prayers and the music, Anna, that you add to it is just beautiful. And I must say that the people who we've been able to share your second CD with are just really loving it. So thank you both for giving your gifts to the church, to the community, and to us at St. Joseph's. We help out at a Celtic festival that takes place every year in the Keys, the Florida Keys. And we are honored to lead the Compline service after the last band finishes. And their big hit band is always called the Screaming Orphans, which is a crazy name it's a group of sisters, but they are wonderful. But when they finish their last tune, they invite everybody just to turn around, and they'll see all of these luminary candles lit. And they say, let's all end our day and night together with a few moments of prayer. And they march down, and we have these luminaries in the shape of a Celtic cross, and we lead them in the Compline service.
Wow.
We give you full credit, but it is always so meaningful. And to think that what God has inspired you all to do over there, that far away, is having an impact on people at a music festival in the Keys.
Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's amazing.
And, so it's a wonderful thing. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, virtual hugs are coming your way from all sorts of folks. And I know you had talked about ending tonight with something you wanted to do for us.
Yep.
Yes.
So if you want to...
This is the prayer we've been using a lot during the COVID thing, because it's powerful. It's about pulling everything to resist this stuff. And it goes all the way back to the tradition of Patrick coming to Tara. So we call it the Tara rune. And if anybody has the book by Madeleine L'Engle, A Swiftly Tilting Planet, we even read each other the whole book while we've been in lockdown. It's been really timely.
Well, he read it to me.
Yeah.
I like being read too.
It's 12 chapters, you know, a chapter a day we've managed.
There you go.
But,
Paperback.
so we're going to pray this for you all, and it's weird not being able to see anybody other than Marty, but Marty would be the choice, that's fine. But everybody else who we haven't mentioned by name, consider yourself in while we pray this for you.
Thank
Is
you.
that okay?
We love you guys so much.
And we're going to pray for you from Holy Island, sending you our blessing.
Thank you.
Okay? Are we ready?
For the beginning music.
From Holy Island tonight in this faithful hour.
Right, we'll try not make. Yeah, we'll try.
We'll be okay.
We'll do it. Okay.
From Holy Island tonight, in this fateful hour, we place all heaven with its power, and the sun with its brightness, and the snow with its whiteness, and fire with all the strength it hath, and lightning with its rapid wrath, and the winds with their swiftness along their path, and the sea with its deepness, and the rocks with their steepness, and the earth with its darkness. All these we place, by God's almighty help and grace, between you all and the powers of darkness.
Amen.
Wow, thank you. That was beautiful. Just beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, know that we love you. We can't
Thank
wait.
you, and us to you guys.
Yeah, we can't wait till this virtual hug is for real. And we can share some good food together and perhaps
Always. It's so lovely hearing your voice, though. Do you know?
Feels very normal.
It does, even though you're on kind of like a tiny little screen. And we don't do this very often. I have to say, this is the first time ever in 25 years of marriage, and Andy's never done anything like this, but that we have ever done this before. So, yeah, but it's just lovely, just lovely. Thank you so much for asking us.
I think we might be doing more of it as this continues, however.
Yeah.
yes.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me stop the recording and we can say our personal goodbyes.
Okay.